Hello, beautiful beings. I'm here with the galactic goddess, Nicola Humber.
Oh,
Mhm. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Our hands on our hearts.
mm, yeah. Can I just say, I love being described as galactic. I mean, that's just, I think it's my favorite thing ever.
Galactic goddess, blowing the gauntlet of gorgeousness. I think that was my
Mm.
response to you in your last photo on Instagram. You're glowing, lady.
Oh, I feel it. I feel this. Um, I don't know. I don't know what it is about this year so far. Um, but yeah, I'm really feeling that sense of like, well, radiant expansion. Those are my two words for this year. And I'm feeling it in all the ways.
Oh, let's bring that in. So the radiant expansion, and I'm playing into loyal expansion.
Mm.
Love this. So as a welcome to this series of the power of us, and we are beginning each of these, Nicola, with a little celebration of the throat. So I'm feeling this today, a little stroking if people want to come in and just feel this space. So the space where the voice is activated, where we create sound. You can keep stroking if you like. You can enjoy that, or enjoy the back of the neck, or just hold your own throat, and maybe a little hum so you can feel it vibrating. So I always describe it as like the velvet folds. Yeah, they're vibrating. This power that we have to get vocal, to communicate, whether it be, please, could you buy some more toilet roll, to also communicating the most powerful or passionate words to somebody that you love, or sharing like this, getting vocal, getting vulnerable. So that feeling of velvet folds, yeah.
There's something moving there. I can
Oh,
feel
yeah.
it.
And this is what the power of us is. This It came to me to have a celebration, of the voice, to have a gathering. And something that I do incredibly well is connect people.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, and stepping into our power. So why we stand, what us stands for, why we stand to speak and deliver, and get present on the stages is to empower others to also come in. But it's not just about empowering. The people, the speakers, the performers are embodying.
mm.
They're embodying their truth, their authenticity. And lady, you, well, we met, didn't we? We met on Wellbeing Radio, and there was a natural attraction.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah,
That has only grown stronger, to be honest.
it's only grown stronger, and we've been in each other's lives for, well, it's coming up to, it's our fifth year anniversary, friend
Mhm.
anniversary. Yeah. And I'm asking everybody this question. So around the concept of getting vocal, getting vulnerable, in terms of your own journey, your own story, from fear, doubt to empowerment. Now, I've been learning that doubt is actually kind of, it has much more of a hold on us than fear itself.
Mm.
So if you can share with our incredible audience here, and what a moment or an experience that helped you to shift into your true power and leave the fear and doubt behind.
I was thinking about this um, before before we came on because there's probably a lot of moments, and actually, I thought I'm going to wait and see what drops in. So here, and there's one moment um, which I remember really clearly, and it's before I started doing like this work, or I guess I was right at the beginning, and I'd always been like super nervous about speaking up. Like if I had to speak in front of anybody, um, particularly in a group, if it was at a meeting, when I was in corporate, anything like that, I was like, oh,
Mhm.
um, I would just panic about it, and my voice would sound all weird. And it was just, horrendous if I had to do any kind of presentation, anything like that. And I remember after I'd retrained as a hypnotherapist, I wanted to do my counseling training. So I did that, this amazing, like integrative, um, um, like counseling course, which I learned so much about myself. And at the end of that, we had to do like a personal presentation about the journey. Like it was a 2 year journey. We had to bring it all together. And I was like, I have no idea. How can I bring it all together? And I don't know how I came up with the idea. I thought, okay, I'm not going to plan anything. I had this mask, like this white mask, when those, like, it's just like a plain white mask.
Yeah.
And I said to Mark, my husband, I said, do you know what? I'm just going to put this mask on and just like talk about the idea of wearing a mask. Because
Love
that's
it.
what I felt I'd been doing for a lot of my life.
Yeah.
I'd been wearing this mask of like what I would call the good girl.
Mhm.
And so I'm just gonna speak in the moment about like how it feels to wear a mask and then the freedom of taking the mask off. And I did that as my like I didn't know what I was gonna say, but I just described the feeling of like having this mask and how restrictive it felt, and I could just feel my breath against it. And that's what I did. And I think that was my first moment. That's the first time I'd ever done anything like that. I just allowed myself not to prepare. I thought I'm just going to speak in the moment of how I feel and that sense of like taking the mask off. And it was amazing. And I was like, oh my goodness, I can do this. It's okay to do this. You don't have to have like this huge, and actually it was so powerful. Um, and I think more powerful because I hadn't planned it. And I hadn't remembered that for ages. It's only since we've been talking about the power of us the memory of that, because it's like, probably about 13 years ago now. It was the
Mhm.
first time I gave myself permission just to speak, like from the heart, how I was feeling in the moment, and to trust that. That was the key piece. I trusted that that was enough.
Yes. Yes to all of that. Oh, I
Mm,
love it. Yeah, taking off the mask, allowing yourself, giving yourself permission. Yeah, and I really feel there's a definite theme
mm,
here in the power of us and the collective that's coming in to speak and perform that have experimented, whether it's the performers, doing improvisation
mm.
to what you've just explained as a speaker, as a motivational speaker, actually standing up without having prepared. And what I heard was you expressed from your feelings
Yeah. Yeah.
that we say healing is feeling. That is, yeah, that's incredible. So you mentioned The Good Girl.
Mm,
So Nicola's first book that she ever wrote and published was called Heal Your Inner Good Girl.
yeah. Yeah.
And that led to something quite spectacular in your in your in your unraveling, or
Yeah.
as you always say, always unbinding.
Mm,
And so my next, so that was then, so that was you taking your mask off.
yeah.
I love that, Nicola. I love you. I love you. Incredible. So that was you taking your mask off. That was like talking to that inner good girl. And talk about the next thing. So there was a pivotal change, because that kind of feels
Mm,
like the pivot. You're sitting there like, the ballerina on that little.
Yeah.
And then what happened in that expansion for you, that
Yeah.
changed you to embrace the vulnerability and move deeper into your vocal visibility?
Mm. I mean, it definitely was a process. I mean, I guess that was the first moment when I realized, oh, I can trust myself to express, without having to micromanage it, and it's okay. And it will be okay. And because like the good girl was terrified of, getting it wrong, saying the wrong thing, or, not being clear. And actually, even after that, that was the first experience, but it was definitely a process of practice of learning to trust my voice. I think, we've spoken about here we were in a good girl, and that led to, I mean, the unbound self, like our fullest, freest expression. That idea came through in that first book, and then I developed it more with the second book, Unbound. But working with the energy of Unbound, like unbinding,
Mm,
I think that's been so key for me in um like how I use my voice, how I allow my voice, because with Unbound, it's like it doesn't matter what happens because it's all unbound. So I can get it wrong. I might say the wrong thing, but and there's a lot of permission in Unbound,
mm,
which for me as a recovering good girl, has just been revolutionary. And I remember when, in the earlier days of my business, particularly when I got more involved in the online space, and I would, record videos and go live and do interviews with people. And I would often judge myself as, oh, like you're so waffly, you're not clear, you're just confusing, you just can't really get your message across. I was very, very judgmental
mm,
about my own voice and the way I express myself. And I remember a key moment when someone I really loved and respected, who I thought, she's expressed herself so clearly. I kind of looked up to her, and we were exchanging some voice notes, because I think we were going to the same event or something, or she'd invited me to an event. And I sent her a voice note, and I was like, oh, I just feel like I've really just waffled there. It was really like not clear. So sorry. And she sent me a message back. She said, Nicola, you're one of the clearest people I know. Like, you always express yourself so powerfully. And I was like, what? And still now I'm like, I don't know, I can go off on one. I feel like I can go around the houses. But having that reflected back to me, I just remember what it was like to think, wow, maybe maybe the way I express myself is okay. Again, it was a bit of a realization that moment.
yeah, maybe the way I express myself is okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay to make mistakes,
Yes.
even when when we're speaking. Yeah, and it's really, I love my body response to this answer. Um, Even though we're talking about coming from your unbound expression, I feel really grounded listening to this
Mm,
answer, and really expansive and more emotional. And that to me is what I talk about in expressing our rawness, our realness,
yeah.
which is authenticity. And yeah, I just feel really grounded from that answer. Thank you so much for speaking that out, because so many people are going to identify with this, because there's so much judgment. I mean, I've talked loads about judging my own voice. I,
Mm,
I kind of mentioned it in one of the other interviews where I didn't like my own voice, the sound of my singing voice. Oh my goodness, comparisonitis. We've talked about this. I think we've
mm,
got a whole podcast interview on your podcast about this. How we as women compare with each other, and how that is only deflating us. Yeah, and
yeah.
and there's so much joy when we step over it, but step get out of our own way.
Totally, totally. Like, I don't believe there are any mistakes when we're
Yeah.
speaking. Like, we can't get it wrong. Like, I often say that you can't get being you wrong. I can't get being me wrong.
Love
Like,
that. This is, like sometimes the humor comes into all of this when you just realize how ridiculous, like
yes.
the fear and the doubt, and I mean, I've learned a lot in the last couple of years about what goes in our inner world,
Mm,
critics, the protectors, the inner family members. I've been learning a lot, and of course I respect them for all their trauma responses, but yeah, exactly that, it
yeah,
it's our expression. It's there's no right or wrong.
there isn't. There isn't. And that humor piece actually is really important.
Yes.
Like you, I totally get, I understand why we can feel like this
Mhm.
because of, the world that we live in and the judgment that is so prevalent. And also, I think when we bring in that kind of energy of humor and lightness and
Yeah,
don't take ourselves too seriously,
yeah,
um, then that is so freeing as
yeah.
well. Like that is a big, big piece for me.
I love. Mm-mm.
Mm,
So you're sharing with us like the personal shifts and the transformations like that have happened from you getting vocal, taking off your mask.
mm,
Um, and when I talk about owning your voice, if I just say those words, owning your voice, what conjures up in your mind? Owning, taking ownership of your voice.
mm. Again, when I was tuning into this, like a specific moment came to mind, which isn't related to my business, but it kind of everything's related to, everything else. But I remember this one moment, um, and I can't even remember what I was saying. It was in a conversation with my husband. Well, a conversation conflict, like some kind of like a big
Convo. Yes. Okay.
it was a conflictual conversation. It's when we were living in the States and we were going through, I mean, I was going through a really transformational time. This was just before the Unbound Press was launched,
Mhm.
kind of the year before that. I'd been writing Unbound. We'd been like going through a lot in our relationships. We'd moved countries, like we're back in the UK now, but that brought up a lot in our relationship. So we were having quite a lot of these conflictual conversations. um, but actually, I remember this one time, and I was sitting on the sofa in our house in Rochester, New York, and like I was had my legs crossed, just sitting there, and it'd been quite heated. I can't remember exactly what we were arguing about, but I remember tapping into my voice. He said something, and rather than me, um, like my natural response is to like like run away. And I'm quite avoidant when it comes to conflict. And I remember how I felt in my body. I just felt so, I know, so strong and grounded and present. And I expressed like how I felt. And it was like, I can't, it was like I was saying no. I can't remember what I was saying no to. And he felt it too. But I could tell in that moment, he was like, oh, okay. Nick's not messing around. Like she really feels this.
I'm feeling it now, Leia. I'm feeling that. There's so much power in the N-O,
Yeah.
in the O.
Yeah. I was like, no, I don't know. He'd said something. I mean, he can say things just to, he loves a bit of conflict. So it was probably one of those. And I was just like, nah, no, no. And I just remember that feeling in my body. Yeah, I wish I could remember exactly what the word, it kind of doesn't matter what it
Mm.
felt like to really be in my in my voice. I don't know. And to allow it fully, with no no editing, no like, oh, is this okay? It was just like, no, this is how I feel. Completely shifted the dynamic in that moment.
Mm.
It had been like, escalating, and that just it grounded us both because I was really tapped in to my voice and allowed it. And like I've remembered how that felt. And it's happened at times since, but that I think it was the first time I'd ever experienced in that kind of situation where there was some conflict because, I'm naturally conflict averse.
Yes.
And I think although that was in my personal life, I know it's given me a lot of or helped me to tap into my power in all different areas. And just become more comfortable. And of course, not using our voice is not just about that in conflict, but there have been situations where maybe somebody's challenged me, and that's okay to like challenge me, and I'm able to be with it
Yeah.
and express
Ex-
myself.
And what I'm feeling is that you were heard as well.
Yes,
So
and
there
what I was felt. I mean,
you were felt and you were heard. And I
yeah.
was sharing this in another one of these conversations. That most certainly I came from. Don't trust, don't feel, don't see.
Mm,
Kind of generation. So for us to speak up and be heard is, I mean, it can feel like you've got like a fur ball in your throat and your whole body, and you coming. So when we come from the action rather than the reaction, even
mm,
if we are reacting, and the voice is trembling, we're still going to stand up and stand into our voice and speak it out. And that's definitely changing for me as well, since kind of turning 40, and turning it around and using it like a tool.
mm.
All the reactions and learning from that, from the hurt,
Yeah.
learning from it and being heard. And it's not easy. It's not easy to say what we feel all the time. It's thank you, Nicola. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for saying that. And I in this question, and it, I don't know when and where and how it all happened. I'm feeling like that galactic combustion, which I know I've used to describe you before. It's not only your voice that you help.
Mm.
I'm going to get emotional. That you help to share, but you stood in your voice. I don't know whether it was that day and it was that no, um, and something big happened for you. You've already mentioned the Unbound Press. You started the Unbound Press, and you now help many, many other people's voices on the path to freedom.
Mm.
So perhaps share a little bit about that from. I would like to ask more from your perspective. How does that feel for you? Like when these women come to you and yeah, how is that? And because I know now it's 143, is that right? Women's books have been published.
It's not out in the world already. I think it's about 70 that have actually been published, but
Yeah.
there's more in the works. Like you can see them
Yes.
all up behind
Yes, I
me.
love all the books behind. All the
Do you know what?
stories.
All of these voices in these
Yes.
books. And you know what? As you ask that question,
Go on.
I feel this fierceness, like this is how I feel.
Go
It's
on.
like no one better mess. Don't try and mess with my women who are like this, how courageous it is to share your voice in this way, like through your words in a book. Like
Mhm.
I feel this kind of lioness energy because and it kind of relates back to what we were talking about earlier, like when I used to judge my voice and feel like I could get it wrong, and this idea that actually, like, we can't get it wrong. And
Mm.
I know that in my bones. Like, I might not remember it for myself all the time, but I remember it for everyone who is in the Unbound writing community.
Yeah.
Um, and I will stand behind them like every step of the way. Like even when they
Yeah,
forget, or especially when they forget for themselves and they're in doubt, it's like, no, like you are. I say this often, if someone's feeling the call to write a book or share their voice in any way, it's not an accident. It's what we're meant to be doing. And our voices, our words are needed. They are, and I don't, this is not just, it can sound a bit kind of trite and it's like, like a marketing statement, like, but it's not, it's like, I just feel this in my being. And I guess I can be a lot fiercer, and bolder for like the writers, the women in my community than I can be for myself sometimes.
Mm.
But yeah, it's definitely, I think I've described it in the past as like fiercely nurturing,
Oh,
but there is like I make a fierce stand for
yeah,
women's voices.
you do.
Yeah,
You do. I can feel that, and I'm sure that I'm shivering all over as you've been talking about your fierce stand and the fierce nurturing. I love this play of words, you putting the words together.
mm,
Yeah, well, of course, you nurtured me through the writing of Light the Way. And I came into and I wrote in Circle.
mm,
And I was the woman that pushed up the hill. I did everything all alone. I didn't think I needed anybody. I couldn't ask for help. I've learned now, this is from kind of past childhood trauma. It was very
mm.
difficult for me to ask for help. Um, but I really trusted you. And I trusted where we were at in that community as well, in Wellbeing Radio, and created some great connections, which are still spinning. We're still orbiting with each other.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, I vouch that with my hand on my heart. And also, I have created so many incredible connections because um, I, I think it's not only myself or Deborah Kilby, Emily Doe also explaining that you're creating this universe where we're all kind of our own universes, and you draw and attract all the universes in all the Unbound writers coming together in to help each other to grow. You most certainly have inspired me in terms of the collective and the co-creation. And this is now showing up even deeper in my work, with the poems of the book being taken from Light the Way and being made into an album, in a co-creative album written with Frances Young, who will also be, and you get to meet her on the 22nd of May. So I feel I just want to put out to all the Unbound sisters as well in this moment, and just sharing that moment of gratitude, of love, and shining that love back to you, Nicola, and
Mm.
to your good girl,
Mm.
and to your unbound self for making all those, making all those choices. You're very humble.
Well, I always say, like, this is not it's not just me by any means. You've spoken there about the different kind of universes, the different like women who spin into the community, and
Yes.
the different connections that happen.
And your
And
team.
oh my goodness, like there's so much, there's so much to it.
Yeah.
So, it's very much co-created. Yeah, I mean, that came from me saying yes to the Unbound Press and the idea of the Unbound Press,
Yeah.
and continuing to say yes. Um, but like, it's all of the writers who come into the circle. It's
Mm.
their yeses, and like I said, the way they um kind of connect with each other, the magic that gets sparked. I mean, it blows my mind.
Yes. And I love what you shared yesterday, talking about working with your mentor.
Yeah,
How sometimes you think you don't even
yeah,
need that session, but when you go in and you go into the conversation and you go into that dedicated space, that's when everything starts falling
yeah.
into place, the actions, and you really look glowing yesterday in that image. And for me, what that is the respect to myself to be held.
Totally, totally. It's really important because actually, it's not even just some of the time I feel like that. Probably most of the time, I'm like, oh, I don't need this. I'm fine because I think we're conditioned to do that. And
Yeah.
also, it's like, well, I can't ask for help unless I really need it, or I've got something specific that I need to ask for. And very often, that I don't feel like that. And just allowing ourselves to have a space, in the group calls in the Unbound Writers Collective, very often, like people haven't got questions, like people won't pre-submit questions, but they're there. And I'm like, well, even if you just want to open your mouth and see
Yes.
what comes out, because there will always be something. So
Yeah.
let's just do that. Like what's present?
Let's
Because
just do
that
that now. Let's just open our mouths and see what comes
exactly.
out.
I mean, to be honest, that is my life now. I don't know what's going to come out.
Ah, yes, 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 yes. I tell you what's going to come out of my mouth. I'm going to share something very personal. So, I found an intimate coach, and yesterday I spent a little discovery call with this woman, and I found her on something called Gateway, which is for childless women.
Mm,
And you know, I didn't know what I was going to say in that call, but
mm,
I knew if I put myself in that call to talk about my miscarriage, which happened 8 years ago, um, and to talk about going through what I'm going through at the moment, all the changes, and I feel like a different person. I'm through the menopause. I believe I'm 44. It's young, but and
mm.
knowing that there's something more in my life, but to actually talk that out, even to a stranger,
Yeah,
something so powerful happened. And so that's what wanted to come out of my mouth
yeah.
just then, and bringing this beautiful conversation or convo, as you say, to a close. On the 22nd, we will all there's one song that I'm going to invite people to to chant with me, and that's the name of my light baby, the baby that came in to me to ignite even more light, and her name is Noor, and the presence of her has been around. I've got her written into the side of my body as well, and yeah, I think that, well, I don't need to think, I just need to feel. And it's energy that I'm feeling. And I'm feeling the ancestors, and I'm feeling all the voices behind you, and I'm feeling all the thanks from them and through us, through the power of us, for us joining together and speaking up. Um, yeah, that it gives people their permission to open up to their wisdom.
Yeah, yeah. I feel it too. There's lots going on in my body as you're speaking there, Natalie.
And if there's one part of from your wisdom, from your wise woman, if there's one message you could give to somebody, to male, female, today watching this, that they could take action and talk to their wisdom, what would that one action be?
I don't know if it's an action so much, but it can inspire action. And that, I mean, the word that's coming is trust, which often comes, when I start reflecting on my own experience. It's like trust, if, you know, well, I guess the invitation is like, what would you say? What would you express if you trusted your voice? Like right now in this moment, because
Yes.
there will be something there, and maybe it's something to be written, maybe it's something to be spoken. It might just be to kind of write it in your own journal. It doesn't necessarily need to be witnessed. Um, but yeah, what would you express right now if you trusted your voice? Because so often we go, oh, no, it's not right. It's not good enough. Or it'll make waves, it'll upset somebody. But what wants to come?
What wants to come? Oh, I love that question. Nicola, thank you so much for coming and playing into
Thank
this beautiful
you.
conversation. And I am super excited to announce Nicola as one of the divine beings coming into the lineup for the Power of Us, which is happening on the 22nd of May in Tunbridge Wells at Club Quantum. And yes, so if you want to come in and check it out, go onto my website, nataliefarrell.co, and then I have an events page. And you can buy tickets, you can check more out on what it's all about and what the power of us and why we're standing up on that evening from 7 till 11. But Nicola, how can people communicate, get deeper into your world?
We'll come to the power of us, obviously, because I really want to meet you. But yeah, the best place, I mean, you can go to my website, it's nicolahumber.com, and that's got links through to the Unbound Press as well. Or on Instagram, that's the best place to connect with me on social. And I'm at Nicola Humber over there.
At Nicola Humber, I love it, and we will also have on this all the notes. There'll be more links to connect deeper with the incredible galactic goddess. That's what you are to me.
I'm going to start using that, I think.
Uh,
Put it in my bio.
and I am going to be standing on that stage on the 22nd. I'm going to have sung your beautiful song, and then I'm going to introduce. And here she comes onto the stage, Nicola Humber.
Maybe I'll bring that mask with me.
Maybe it might have changed.
Maybe.
Yes. Love
Oh,
it. I love you. Thank you so
and
much.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Natalie.
You, oh, love you so much. Love you.